Gorilla Bash is my ongoing Bang Dream Combo Contest series, where participants are split into 3 tiers of varying skill levels, all with the goal to play against each other, gather points to reach the final 4 for a final showdown, and try and win their particular tier. It's a great way to showcase their skills, and because it's split into 3 different skill levels, amateur, intermediate, and gorilla, basically anyone's able to join and have some fun. So today I'm just going to give a quick progress report on Gorilla Bash 7, which started earlier this month. Give you guys an idea of how the matches are going so far, and some matches to look out for, and some people to possibly see if they could possibly make it to top 4 and possibly win the tier. So we'll go right into the standings here, and right off the bat in amateur bracket we have 11 competitors so far, and not many people have played their matches in amateur tier thus far, but for the time being we have Jim Tree and Zun, who are currently leading the bracket with a 100% points percentage and the most amount of points. Now, obviously, since both of them have 100% points percentage, they haven't fought each other yet. So we'll see if when that match happens, who will actually come out on top and possibly grab some more points. And could we have someone in amateur tier not get a single loss or draw, have a perfect points percentage? We'll see how that goes. In terms of the other individuals, Leo and Lang. Lang is definitely a familiar face for amateur bracket, but Leo, a newcomer as well, all doing very well, very respectable in this particular tournament as well, with a pretty solid lead. Haven and Kuroyuki are also not far behind in points, although as you can see, they've played much more games already. So Leo and Lang definitely have the advantage there. So we might already have top 4 set for amateur, although one person to look out for sure is Mira, who is 3-0 so far. Hasn't played a lot of matches, but we'll see if they're able to play their matches, possibly against the higher tier echelons right now, and see if they are able to make a comeback and possibly sneak in for a top 4 spot. So amateur bracket right now, not too much activity. By the time this ends, hopefully we'll have a pretty good understanding of who is going to be there in the top 4. Intermediate bracket always has the most amount of activity, and this tournament is no exception. Right now, Enryu is leading the pack by a very large margin. Just check out that points percentage. They are just absolutely dominating the competition right now, to the point where they may even graduate from intermediate before the actual tournament's over. So we'll see how that goes. But Enryu, again, doing a very fantastic job out of our 12 competitors in intermediate thus far. Sal, not far behind, very notable. They were previously in Gorilla Bash 6, didn't quite make it to top 4, but has since definitely improved and has still taken a top 4 spot for the time being. They have played more games than everyone else, so we'll see if people like Hanamori, Yuzuri will be able to solidify the top 4 spot, or perhaps get overtaken by people like Daniel and Melon. All newcomers, by the way, which is really awesome to see. So I'm looking forward to see how these matches go. Again, I think intermediate is still very wide open. We'll look at the matchups really soon. It really just shows how close everyone is in terms of skill level. So, each match is very important. You never know what's going to happen. People like Ruby is someone I would keep an eye on because of, their points percentage right now, also very high. So if they keep that up, then they're going to sneak into top 4. So we'll see how the intermediate bracket holds out. But so far, it has been very, very exciting. Now, as for Gorilla tier, you may notice that it's split into 2 tiers. Now, what happened is that there were 20 participants for Gorilla tier, and 20 is too much. You don't want to play 19 matches all in a row. So what I did is I split the Gorilla tier by in 2 groups. Each had 10 people. Now, of course, now there's not 10 people in each group because a lot of people have to drop out because of personal life issues and such. But either way, we have 8 people in Gorilla A and 7 people in Gorilla B. Top 4 for each group will then move out and then do like a face-off where first seed of one group will face the 4th seed of the other group, 2nd seed against 3rd seed in the other group, etc., until we have a final 4 that will represent Gorilla tier and move on to the final showdown. So in Gorilla A, Chang Yu is leading right now. Points percentage pretty comfortable above everyone else. Chang Yu has played more than every other person though, so we'll see if people like Choki and Dia are able to possibly close that gap, especially where Chang Yu has not necessarily played against these players yet. Shironezu also comes up to mind, doing pretty well, and Creamy as well. Again, I think Gorilla A is still wide open in terms of who will make it to top 4, especially consider that Shadow Shake, or someone who is a regular at these Gorilla Bashes, still hasn't played a game yet. So Shadow Shake's matches can really determine who will be going to the top 4, and we'll see who will make it to at least the top 4 of Gorilla A and possibly go into the face-off contest. As for Gorilla B is a little bit more, I guess, set in stone of who will likely be the top four. Alex and Sib are both leading the way with the exact pointage percentage against themselves, like their match against themselves. They went 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 draw, which just shows how evenly matched they are. They both each suffered an additional loss to none other than yours truly here, giving 1 loss to both of them at least. So I have a respectable 8-7 record right now. Although I do have a losing record against Alex, Sib, and Tsumugi, which is quite interesting. Tsumugi still hasn't played the players down below here, who also haven't really played much of their matches yet. So we'll see if these players who haven't played much, could they make a splash, possibly sneak in the top 4, maybe affect the seeding if they can't. But yeah. Again, Gorilla B is a little more set in stone right now, but we'll see how the remaining matches go. Again, you never know unless you play your matches. I'll give a quick share of the standings, I'll give a quick summary of the matches so far and what are some notable matchups that have happened or maybe have not happened. As I mentioned earlier for in amateur bracket, Zune and Jimtree have yet to play yet, so we'll see if what kind of result they'll get here. So again, there's some pretty notable, quite interesting results here overall. Again, have a look at the head-to-head matchups. This might be a little difficult to see, but regardless, right? We have some pretty interesting matchups with amateur bracket. Lang has lost a few games against a few people here and there, but overall again is pretty solid, just as an example. Haven again played a lot of games, but some matchups against people like Jimtree and Mira have definitely brought their ranking down, just as an example here. Intermediate has a lot of activity. As you can see, a lot of matchups going on. I think a really notable one is people like Joe doing really well against Sal, who's currently second place in the tier, getting all 6 available points against them, but struggled against a lot of other players like Hanamori, Yuzuri, and Aunt Daniel, as an example. So, you never know. Everyone's skill level is very, very similar. So we'll see how it goes when it comes to, the ability to possibly take over and really win. So again, Enryu also someone who is doing incredibly well. Only lost 1 point to Sal and Hanamori, or 2 points to Sal and Hanamori respectively, and a point to Joe with the tie. So it is really competitive intermediate bracket. So we'll see how the remaining matchups fill up, especially when people like Ruby, Yvette, and Riley have yet to play many games. Gorilla A, as you can see, Chang Yu on the top is mostly winning all their matches. The only person they haven't played yet is Shadow Shake, which will be really exciting because, again, Shadow Shake, a favorite definitely to possibly win this tournament, so we'll see how that goes. You can see with all the matchups so far that everyone's pretty relatively balanced, right? The only one that was suddenly super lopsided was Shironezu against Creamy. I thought that was a pretty unexpected result considering that both of them are pretty respectable. But yeah, that's all 6 points for Shironezu, and that could really help boost their ability to get into the top 4. So we'll see how Gorilla A matches. And Gorilla B, again, not too many surprises, I think. As you could see, the Alex-Sib matchup, they each took 3 points off of each other. Again, Alex with another rare loss to me. Sib, another rare loss to me as well. But again, Tsumugi, although hasn't really done too well against Alex and Sib, who are very likely the top 2 seeds in this particular group, positive matchups against everyone else so far. So we'll see if Tsumugi and myself are able to really possibly solidify that top 4. Again, Fallen and Riley have not played their matches yet, so we'll see if they could really affect this bracket, but that's all for that so far. So again, that is a quick summary of what we have for Gorilla Bash so far. Finals, top 4 showdowns will be happening sometime later in the month, as well as early February, depending on the time frames of how people's availabilities are. So we'll see how things go. But let me know in the comments below who you're cheering for, who you think might be winning these tournaments in each bracket, and definitely follow along the action by joining the Discord community, Discord server, link in the description below. And again, check out my announcements of the future for Twitch streams on these events. So thank you all so much for listening. We will see you in the finals for Gorilla Bash.